Hopefully we're good. Pretty sure we are. All right, we'll see in half a second. We'll literally see in half a second. Apparently we're streaming, apparently we're live. Well, good, we're working. Yeah, good. Thank you so much. Thanks so much for hanging on, guys. Terribly sorry about then. That was probably, we were just saying that's probably like 40 days in a row that we haven't had an issue. But I'm very glad we could get that all up and work. It actually, it was probably the first night as well that I genuinely haven't actually done a sound check prior to going live.
Classic.
And that's exactly what always happens, seriously. So I'm just, now there's like a voodoo science thing gonna go. Every single time we're gonna have a full structure. Guys, I would like to introduce you to someone that's actually absolutely very, very special to myself, to the wine industry as a whole, the local industry, to natural wine, to wine research, to now running as well.
All right, okay.
This is Alex Schulkin. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, mate.
Oh, thanks for having me.
It's been under, a lot of people have requested, you know, we go out to everyone sitting at home saying, like, who do you want to hear from? Who, you know, who inspires you to get into wine? And your name's cropped up a bunch of times. I'm not too, I mean, look, I know why.
It's getting serious.
I know, I know why, because you are, and we spoke about this before, you're one of the nicest guys in wine. And we say that about a lot of people, but particularly about you.
I try to be. I'm not sure I succeed really well, but I do my best.
But tell us about, so firstly, would you like a glass of wine?
Sure.
I should get you some wine.
Might as well.
We'll get on to the little chat. All right. The cheeky new thing. The cheeky new thing. Why not this? Tell us about yourself, Alex. How did you, obviously you've got quite the accent. How did you get to Australia?
Accent?
Yeah.
I used to, when we lived in Bridgewater, I used to tell everyone it's a Bridgewaterian accent.
Especially out of towners, especially Queenslanders, sometimes some of them would believe them.
Oh, you would be surprised how many times people bought it, but then I had to break it and say, oh yeah, you know what, I was born in St. Petersburg and spent 20 years of my life in Israel.
Yeah, right.
And after all that, came here with my partner Galit and our daughter Millie 10 years ago now.
Yeah.
And I'm still shaking the accent off, but I probably will never completely do so. Yeah.
So why Adelaide?
In 2009, I was 3 years out of uni, freshly married, young daughter, employed in a medical device R&D research and development company, and we had the global financial crisis and the company went bust. By then, I'd already been into wine for a couple of years, drinking, trying to make some, researching, and a good friend of mine, who is now the first Israeli MW, Master of Wine, said, why not go to Adelaide, study winemaking? And I thought he was insane, but as they say, it's when there is no jobs around, it's a good time to study.
Of course.
And Galit, my partner, was very supportive of that. In fact, she mainly drove it because I rejected it right away, and Galit was like, "Oh, hang on, let's look into it."
For and sure. Wait, does she really like wine? Was it like a underhanded thing going on? She's like, maybe this is a good deal.
She certainly likes wine, not as much as I do, but she very much likes wine. Yeah, all of a sudden it sounded like a good idea. So yeah, pretty quickly we found ourselves here in Adelaide. We could choose between UC Davis, which is in the States, and a few European places where that would require studying a fourth language, and back then I thought it wasn't a great idea because I wanted to focus on winemaking.
Yeah.
And you know, I had some basic English commands, so came here.
Yeah, wicked. So do you have any regrets?
No, not really.
Because things have seemingly just kind of sort of gone, you know, up and up for you.
Yeah, and there's no telling whether or not it wouldn't have happened elsewhere.
Of course.
But yeah, absolutely no regrets.
So what was your entry into winemaking? Because I remember possibly meeting you with James Erskine.
Yeah.
I think it was with James Erskine you were working with. That's right. In not in Mylor.
That would have been in the Basket Range.
In Basket Range, yeah, absolutely. In the cherry shed there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The jam shed.
The jam shed, yeah, absolutely. So what were you working there? Was Other Right? Was it even a concept at that point, the Other Right?
No. At that point it wasn't a concept. So it worked out. The friend who actually aired that idea that we could go and study winemaking here, had studied in UC Davis together with James Erskine. Sometimes in the early 2000s, and James Erskine was the only contact we had when we came here. Funny that. And so naturally we picked up the phone when we got here, and I was like, "Hi James, yeah, what's going on?"
Yeah.
And basically the rest is history.
So when did you start working with him after that?
When we arrived in 2009, James was making one of his first wines. It could have been it was his first vintage as the Yalma wines.
Yeah. And it is pronounced Yalma?
Well, opinions vary.
Lou's the winemaker behind Madame Blues is Maidoni, and I'm like, mate, it's Maidoni. I'm sorry, I just can't.
Yeah.
So Yalma, Jorma.
Well,
I mean,
for a while I had the theory that James doesn't pronounce it well, but he would disagree naturally.
That is fantastic.
And for a while I was very confident with Yalma, and now I'm not sure anymore. And sometimes I kind of give into pressure and just pronounce this as Jalma so people know what I talk about.
Yeah. Well, and of course, you know, through that period as well. In fact, I think we even have. Yeah, we do. I think it could have been maybe after you had started. This was opened for us quite a while ago. But how's this? 2011 Chenin Blanc.
Yep.
Sand and chest.
I was involved. I was present when this wine was made, and even lent some mussels in there. Incredible,
actually. Obviously for the place that it came from, so Northern Vales, for 2011, which is stupidly wet, completely fucked vintage.
What a year!
What a year though, and some of those wines that are made under such duress have come out just utterly amazing. And we were all quite taken aback by this particular wine.
Especially for James, he's certainly not an exception, but in his world, 2011 was an amazing year.
Yeah.
Go figure. It did take a lot of sorting, because the main issue one of the issues with wet years is there is lots of rot, botrytis and mites in the vineyard, and that takes a lot of sorting, and that's why winemakers hate it, because it's like an extra work that otherwise would not exist. And we bit the bullet, especially early days. We were very careful with what we're doing, and James was very particular that every single botryticized berry needed to be picked out. Yeah. And we did as best as we could.
And it shows. It really does show in some of the wine. So how did you make the graduation from working for James to The Other Right? And where did the name come from, The Other Right?
Well, the name came in 2012. That was our first vintage, and by then we'd already had wine in bottle, and it was really time was pressing to start selling it, so we could get some cash out of it to buy grapes in 2013. And we had no name, and most people who have ever named anything know how hard it is to find a name.
Yeah.
And we were trying, and nothing really made sense. And then a colleague at the Wine Research Institute told me that the way we made wine was the wrong way. And we were like, maybe it's not wrong, maybe it's the other right. And it also really blends well with our travel arrangement. When I drive the long distance and Galit would tell me where to turn, and sometimes he'd say turn right, I turn right.
Yeah, she said no, the other right.
The other right.
That's actually really interesting. So, and this is probably the reason why I really wanted to introduce you guys to Alex. Firstly, if you don't know of Alex's and Galit's wines, you should. The Other Right is one of the most amazing. Would you describe yourself as a natural wine producer? Would you describe yourself as, I mean, look, that's a tough and loaded question, but you make wine without intervention and a lot of additives. I think it's probably more accurate to say, because it's hard to be able to
It's an accurate way to describe it, but if we, we can describe it in many ways, and there is no one single correct way to describe it. So we can say wine made out of grapes grown organically, not necessarily certified, but following the same principles very specifically, and then made without any additives.
You actually say made from grapes, I think.
Yeah.
On your labels.
So that
Wait,
no, we don't.
What, are these your labels over here?
Yep.
Because they're the most fascinating labels as well.
Thank you. And then it goes on to describe how we make the wine, or we can say natural wine, and it's pretty brief. And most people would actually know what we mean by that. And there is, of course, a lot of discussion what it really means. And there is also some variation. Some say natural is a bit of this and a bit of that, and some would make wine exactly the same way as we do and would completely hate the word natural. But sometimes for the sake of convenience, and sometimes just because it makes sense, we call it natural wine.
Yeah, and I think that's it. Comprehension occurs typically at the listener's ears, not at the speaker's mouth. Yeah. And I think that's why I tend to sort of gravitate towards that term, and it's a very loaded term. But you know, the fascinating thing about Alex is Alex also, you know, just hinted at before, a colleague at the Australian Wine Research Institute. You work as a wine researcher.
I do.
So do you find that juxtaposition, that dichotomy, hard, like challenging to work with? What do your colleagues think of some of the wines that you produce?
Well, they don't think much about wines we produce because they rarely drink them, I suspect. I'm sure some of them have an image of a wine. They would have some kind of an idea whether it's really whether it would resonate with what they think if they had tasted it or not. Well, there is no way to tell. Some of them certainly drink wine. Some of them enjoy it. I'm sure many of them don't. And the vast majority have not tried.
That's actually really disappointing that a whole bunch of your colleagues probably haven't even given it a go. Haven't even let it grace their lips.
Those, well, some, I don't know.
Each their own, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. And some of them might prefer beer or abstain from drinking alcohol whatsoever.
Yeah. And so, I suppose completely open choice, completely
absolutely.
fair.
And there's nothing wrong with it. And I don't feel offended when someone doesn't want to drink our wine because, well, there is a long list of wines I don't want to drink, and I'd like to think I'm not offending anyone by saying that.
No, it's just you're just reaffirming my position that you're one of the nicest guys in wine. That's it. Guys, just want to jump straight to the comments. Justin, Kerry, Christina, thanks so much for hanging around. Henry, Jicky, Christina, sorry, just finished off a Bilk & Cider that is also in our pork loin that is currently roasting. Sounds awesome. Just opened a Gilbert Pinot Noir from Orange. Now, we were just talking about that before, orange wine.
Yeah.
Orange wine. Yeah. We're selectively calling it off-white wine at the moment. Sean Lau chiming in, new wines are absolutely banging, Alex. Bit of love for you there, man. And drinking your Fino tonight. Fino or Fiano? Or do you make a Fino now?
No, that's you.
That's us. Okay.
That's your Fiano.
That's our Fiano. Oh, Fino. Starting the night with a 2019 Lindt Stunt Pinot Noir from Clement and Florian Berthier. I think that's how you pronounce that. While the lamb is in the smoke for another hour or so. Fantastic. And what else are you guys drinking at home? That's what I really want to know. And if you've got any really cool either natural winemaking questions or even wine research questions. What is wine research? What do you research?
Well, I personally research wine texture. I'm involved in a project that looks into wine texture. Some of the chemical drivers that define wine texture and winemaking techniques that bring or take away those chemical drivers.
So when you're sitting in a meeting, right, and you're talking about wine texture, and you've got like the head of the AWI there, like, what are we going to present our findings, and all, you're like, we need an idea, guys. I think of it a little bit like a marketing team. That's probably because I approach it from a marketer's perspective. And then you're like, you know what brings texture is skin contact, no filtration, Lee stirring, and they're all like, oh, Alex is on his natural wine thing again.
Well, that's not true. Simply because it's no one would, it would make sense to most people involved with wine that skins bring texture, and it doesn't have to be a white or an orange wine. It can be a red wine.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. Well, we talk about,
they bring texture to red wine.
I would argue that we see of whole categories, if you were to take about sort of qualified wine faults, okay, and we're pretty liberal drinkers, so I'm pretty broad when I say that. That the orange wine category, amber wine, skin contact wine category of whites, okay, typically showcases the most amount of faults across all the wine categories, which is odd to me, because we've been making skin contact wines for near over 1,000 years called red wines. Yeah. And all you're doing is changing the variety. So I don't understand why there is a propensity to be a high degree of instability when it comes to what we would determine to be orange wines.
I'm not under the same impression.
No? You see just as many in red or all skin contact wines, or? I
don't see faults at all.
In orange wines, so you see them as different.
I'm just kidding. I see faults in many wines, and I don't necessarily choose to use the word faults because that's a bit prescriptive. And certainly some things can benefit wines and damage others. But
because one person's aldehyde is another person's pera or sherry,
exactly,
right?
Yeah, and so on. Really, the list goes on. But with orange wine, I don't necessarily see any more bad orange wines that I see reds or whites.
Yeah.
That's very much my impression. But again, I don't do like a very good survey.
You're not the very hallmarker when it comes on things like
I don't taste every wine. Basically, what we drink at home is a little bit of our wine when we are about to release it, because that's when we.
You want to make sure that people get the right stuff.
We want to see. We want to get our heads around what's going on.
Yeah.
And after that, we drink others' wines, and that would be some of our favorite producers in Australia and outside. Yep. And that's it. And all the other wines we actually don't get to drink. There is so many wines I just can't even focus on every style or every winemaking technique or philosophy. It's just too much for one person.
So Ruth's chimed in asking, what are the other researchable aspects of wine? How do you research? I think that's a really interesting thing to know, because I'm sure a lot of you guys at home don't realize that there is entire institutes dedicated to just researching wine. And it's a big building, you can't all be doing nothing there.
There's 100 staff. From top of my head would be probably half of them would be researchers.
Yeah.
So there are very many topics that could be researched. The list is ever evolving. Some things become irrelevant. Some new things pop up. We can break it down very broadly to chemistry and biology, and biology would be microbiology, of course. So bacteria and yeast, and chemistry would be wine composition and how it's affected. And chemistry can be broken into texture, which is non-volatile compounds, that things we can't smell, and volatiles that are flavor. Strawberries, black pepper, and so on. And every single you could research black pepper character in wine for years, and that's actually there is a lot of interesting stuff happening with black pepper, and it's been going on for a few years now.
So this raises so many questions, Alex. Is there like a guy or girl, a person, a human being that has claimed ownership over a certain part of wine research? They walk through and that's so-and-so, that's the black pepper guy.
A lady, yes, a
Yeah.
black pepper lady. We
Black
have
pepper
one.
lady.
Yeah,
And she's like, yeah, basically,
Tracy
like-
Siebert is her name, and she's all over it. She's not the only one who looks at it, but she's the main one.
She's the main one. So
And
it's like,
she
if you've got any
basically-
questions regarding how does this happen in wine or how does it occur,
Yeah.
is there stuff that you're taking from your research and being able to apply to the natural wine scene or to the, like, are you looking at some of these things going, how can I achieve this without technology, without additives?
Back in the day, more than now, I used to look at certain things that happen in wine research and think how I can apply them. Now our winemaking becomes more and more intuitive. As a wine scientist, I used to resist it as much as I could because it just sounded like a completely crazy idea. Like, why would you not rationalize everything? And
Yeah, that's interesting.
and then more and more so, our winemaking decisions are based on, we think this is what we need to do and this is when we need to do it.
And that's because, do you think that's growing experience?
I think it's a lot to do with that and also letting go. Because we saw so many times that decisions, I think one can only rationalize things to an extent, whereas intuition is limitless.
Yeah, of course. And do you find that's where the most amount of thrill is in the winemaking
Absolutely.
process?
Yeah.
It's just you have no idea where this could go. It's like a bit of a lucky dip sometimes, but you're getting more.
It's
into it,
always a
you're getting
lucky
more to
dip, and I'm getting more and more confident with those decisions driven by, some would say, whims.
So what are the crazy projects you've got going on? Like because you were one of the first, not I don't think the first that I knew of doing pet nat styles, but you were definitely one of the first that, you know, I remember buying your wines and I'm like, oh my God, this guy does like 5 pet nats. Like
It was 4.
It was 4, okay.
It was in 2016. So we started making pet nat, well, we made it first in 2013 when we only had half a barrel. Half a barrel can't sit in a whole barrel because it's not full.
Yeah, so what do you do? You gotta shove it in bottles.
Shove it in bottles and see
Yeah.
what happens. And it was very young, very bright, and we called it Bright Young Thing. And that was our first red pet nat. And actually, we had 10 cases of it. It didn't take very long to sell. But we thought it just made sense. Now, I got the idea from my friend and mentor, James Erskine, who had made pet nat the same year and potentially the year prior, and he was going for it. It wasn't like half a barrel. He actually dedicated wine to it.
Yeah.
And he said, yeah, it's a great young flamboyant style, fun, and back then, and still, fun is for me the most important attribute of wine. And I said, fun, sure, sign me up.
Totally.
And so in 2014, we already dedicated some grapes to that, and we made Bright Young Thing on a larger scale. 30 cases. In 2015, we made a white one. I called it White Young Thing. And we wanted to make another white from Pinot Noir, but it turned out to be pink, so we called it Bright Young Pink. That was the rosé. And then 16, we had a bit more of the orange, aka skin contact wine, Viognier, than we thought we'd need, and we thought, what else we can do? We wanted to fit into another kind of thing, style or something, and we thought, let's make an orange pet nat. And that was the year when we made 4 pet nats. So it was white, red, rosé, and orange. And,
I think it's fantastic.
And that was the only year when we made 4, and then we never made an orange wine at pet nat since, because we just never had enough Viognier for that. But we'd be keen to do it again, and we will one day.
It's interesting, you do have that. And now firstly, there is something I want to qualify for people that are playing at home. We're going to get a little bit basic right now. Pet nat. What's pet nat?
Pet nat is short for pétillant naturel, which is French for naturally fizzy. I hope I get it right. Should be close enough.
Should be close enough.
And it's a style of, it's a sparkling wine, but it's a lot less well defined as, say, champagne style or many other styles of sparkling wine where the winemaking is very well defined. But generally speaking, it's bottled early. So before the wine finished its primary fermentation. So the same fermentation happens, it finishes in the bottle, and that's where the bubbles come from, as opposed to champagne where there is a secondary fermentation induced with sugar and yeast addition years later.
Yeah.
So it's the same fermentation happens in the bottle. It may or may not be disgorged, that is removed of, gotten rid of the solids in a bottle. It may or may not be completely dry. Sometimes it might not be very fizzy. But
it's fun.
But ideally it's delicious, and but that applies to any wine really.
It's a bit of fun. I mean, I had a best described to me that going to a smaller producer and buying a case, and I think that's the thing that you're meant to do. If you're meant to have maximum enjoyment of this, you go and buy a case of Pet Nat, and you consume it throughout, you know, the next year, and then you go and buy your other, like this is if you're drinking slow or you're drinking from a lot of different producers, then you go and buy your other case, you know, the next year. Yep. And you get to see the wine evolve. Every single bottle is completely different.
But isn't it the same with every wine?
Well, yeah, in wine, it should be, right? It should be, but it's not. It's not. I think Pet Nat really sort of pushes that pendulum, stylistic pendulum, all the way to the other end, so you can actually start to enjoy real wines, living wines, wines that sort of make you smile.
It's most certainly a living wine.
So there's an amazing video I'll show you after this. I would have loved to have had it linked up. I should have thought about this. I should have thought about a bunch of stuff.
A Pet Nat escape in the bottle?
It was the Pet Nat we made in 2012, and then never made Pet Nat again. It involved.
That must have hurt.
It did. The 2013 vintage was like D-Day. There was bits of glass flying past our head all the time, and it was, oh yeah.
Oh my god, that's how much sugar did you bottle it with?
Okay, so I just
did you bottle juice?
I tasted it and I was like, this is about right. And then I was like, you know, maybe it's not enough. So I went and grabbed a whole bunch of the sugar drops that you get with Coopers, you know, make your own, and then shoved a bunch of those in the bottles and left them away. Probably about 200 bottles. And it was, opening it, it would disgorge itself almost less than 1/10 of a second.
Yeah.
It was under so much pressure, the bottles were exploding. But I've got a great video of it, and it's totally worth all that effort. Was totally.
But there are quite a few of them around, really. If you look up Gushy Pet Nat or something like that, I'm sure there'll be plenty.
Oh, there is. There was a great one that went around. It was a Facebook meme. A girl that had been making like a rhubarb or a beetroot something or other seltzer at home with one of those swing top things, and she's obviously like doing this is my before, and this is one I've prepared earlier, and it's opened up, and it's just all over, just bright red everywhere, and she's just like and then turns the camera off. The fact that she uploaded it, good on you, good on you. Guys, how much have you guys had Pet Nat before? What have been your experiences with Pet Nat, and how does it sort of rate against other styles of sparkling? I'm really interested to know. Sue and Craig here trying the Topper's Mountain barrel fermented Gewürztraminer from 2016. Now Topper's Mountain have just done a really awesome release as well. Could be a game changer for the variety. It's gonna need a game changer for the variety, I feel. Also moving to the Mayford Tempranillo from Porapunka? Is that how it's pronounced? I don't know that one. That's actually a new one for me. Gewürz. You played with Gewürz?
Never.
Never.
But I've seen it being played with, and I enjoyed watching it.
We played with a bit of Gewürz this year. It's actually been really good fun. A little bit of Gewürz and everything. He's done a bunch of Gewürz and stuff, hasn't he?
He has. James Erskine does it recently again, but there was that vineyard that he parted way with when much an orange wine. It was called Zwertzig.
That's right. Yeah, that was good fun.
Which is Swiss German for it's spicy. Because Gewürz is spice.
It's a very spicy thing as well.
But Gewürz is literally means it. So Gewürztraminer means spicy Traminer.
Yeah, right.
In German.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
You're learning. Mate, you're educating me. This is fantastic. Justin's trying
I know 3 words in German.
Gewürztraminer is one of them. How long would you keep a Pet Nat for after release?
It really depends. How long would you keep a red wine after release?
So he says, it's subjective, I'm sure. No, it's literally
yes, it is.
But I mean, what happens to Pet Nat? Have you aged some of your Pet Nats before? What happens?
A white Pet Nat, well, haven't aged it. I kept 2 bottles. and I had a 2014 White Young thing, the first one we made. I had it in 2018, and it was really getting into that vintage champagne yeasty zone.
Like brioche and
yeah,
that sounds
and I was
really
like, wow,
appealing.
I wish we
kept
or I wish we were
patient enough,
patient
or
enough,
big
or,
enough,
you know,
to
big enough, all of the above,
all the above,
to keep some more. But who knew? With the red wine, with the red pet nat, I've been a bit more cautious because my feeling is that because of the yeast breakdown, the autolysis that happens in a bottle, it might not benefit the red wine as well as it does with white. But again, I might be wrong there, and I've seen red pet nats that have aged extremely well. Rosé, I guess, same as a white.
As a white, yeah.
Yeah, I had some older stuff that some older rosé. It's not super old. It's like 3 years. But the main thing about pet nat, well, at least our philosophy is, I don't know about the whole lot of pet nat made in the world, but our philosophy is, and generally any wine that we make, we release it when it's ready. It might get really much better over the years, and we've seen that happening as well. But our wine is good to drink when we release it, and
that's why you taste it right before it gets released. To be able to check to make sure.
We drink like we open like a bottle of almost once a week and just see how it evolves prior to release to properly understand where it's going, what we should communicate to the world about what the wine is about, how much it's gonna cost. We basically, all of our pricing is based on nothing else but how good we think the wine is.
Well, we've got a bunch of a bit of love for you, mate. Amanda, love to see you again, Amanda. Love Pet Nat, can't get enough of it. Alex has to be the king of Pet Nat. And I could definitely...
No crown there. Would be a heavy one to carry. It would be more like a thorny crown, wouldn't it?
But I mean, across Australia, I don't think there's anyone that's really doing lots and I mean, maybe in volume, but in terms of different varieties, different SKUs, different types of, different bottlings and stuff. But you also, the way that you approach Pet Nat, I find really interesting. It's not just another product that can be sold. There's an actual like...
Nothing is another product.
Yeah, well, that
for us.
Yeah, I know.
That's not how we look at things.
No, and that's the outlook is absolutely brilliant. Jicky chiming in saying, I enjoy a really good Gewürztraminer, but I found a lot of really bad ones in Australia. Yes, I totally agree. In fact, have you tried? I thought it was Gewürztraminer when I first tried it. It was the first time for a while ago. Kerner. As in Kerner, not the producer, Kerner down the road.
Okay.
Kerner the variety. Have you tried much Kerner before?
This is the first time I'm hearing about that.
Oh man, seriously, it's like Gewürz and Riesling had a love child, and actually it's like acidity and daintiness as well as the beautiful aromatics. Aiden, tried a few Pet Nats, the other right, Delinquente, Baraccio, took me a little while, but I really like them now. Very similar to other natty wines, just with some fizz. And Sue Bond, yes, Mayford is in the north east Victoria, halfway between Beechworth and Bright. But the second question is, have been trying, to my second question, have been trying Pet Nat for a couple of years. Great fun. Top of the tree is Jean-Pierre Robineau.
Robineau?
Yeah.
He's
the king?
I
mean, you're the king. He's just like a,
well,
just a jester.
Even being mentioned in the same sentence with Jean-Pierre Robineau is makes me blush.
All right. Well, speaking of blushing,
he's like the dude.
He's the dude. He's the dude. All right, you've brought an amazing wine. I don't know what it is, but I hope it's amazing for blind tasting.
I hope so too.
Yeah, that's right. Laura is doing the honors tonight. Would you mind cracking that open and pouring that into these black glasses right here? And we're going to play the only sport left on Australian television, but hopefully not for long. It is, of course, it's blind tasting. Now, what I did remember is playing the graphic before actually getting into blind tasting. So, where to now for the other ride?
Make my wine.
More, as in grow?
No, just next year.
Just next year? Is it the same growers year on year on year?
We try and stick to the same growers. The list occasionally evolves because, well, there was one example when the vineyard was grown organically and they decided, new owners decided against it. So we had to part ways with it. And we always look for more Chardonnay, so we gradually expand that list. So yeah, come and go, but we really try and stick to the same list of growers because, well, we find it impossible to get our head around a vineyard in a year or two. It takes really a few years to start getting the most out of it and making the best we can out of those grapes. So I guess it serves the growers, it serves the people who drink our wine, so it makes the most sense.
Totally. All right, so do you know how this game works? I mean, you're not really playing it, I guess. You brought the wine, but you're going to play it in a second off the back wall.
I have not tried this wine before.
Oh, really? Oh, this is a new one for you. Oh, this is good because it smells amazing. It smells actually really fun. I'm going to shove the comments down. Laura's going to let y'all know what we are drinking at home, just so you can see us fail hardcore, or me anyway. That smells amazing. There's like a cinnamon lift thing going on. Like it's amazingly spicy. And I'm not sure whether that's oak or a little bit of skin contact.
I know a few things about the wine, so I'm not going to comment.
It's so disorienting tasting in black glassware.
Of course. It's hard to tell whether it's white or red, especially given I'm around it, so it could be orange, right?
Off-white. No, it's actually quite amazing because I find it hard to pick this particular wine, whether it's red or white.
It's literally, I find it quite, it's next to impossible with most wines. I mean, sometimes clearly it's Riesling. It's like,
I don't know any red wine that smells like Riesling. Yeah. I also don't know any white wine that smells like Pinot.
Yeah.
You can tell it. This has some really cool complexity going on. I'm not sure if it's winemaker derived or whether it's élevage derived, like a bit of maturation on this. But it's the palate weight that's really throwing me because I've had plenty of whites with this palate weight, plenty of reds with this palate weight. I'm gonna say it's red. Oh yes! Oh yes! Oh,
keep
That
going.
was actually no, honestly, that was remarkably difficult, and I thought I was really gonna get it wrong. All right, no, so it's a remarkable red wine. All right, so Laura, are you going to be asking the questions?
New
all right.
world, old world.
This is really hard.
Not here to make it easy for you.
It's New World. Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Can we say it's the old world of the new world? Just to make it harder.
I have no idea what that is. I have no idea what this is. This is amazing. It's fun wine.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
So do you want to be presented with
All right.
3 options
Yeah,
or
3 countries.
3 countries?
Yeah.
Well, New World. Well, Australia, the States, and Canada. Well, what else do we have in the New World?
Oh, there's South Africa, New Zealand.
Of course,
there's
yes.
Japan.
Silly me. New Zealand, South Africa, and Japan.
So what are the 3
Australia,
countries?
Canada, and the US.
Australia?
Yep.
Yeah, all right. That wasn't because it tasted Australian, it was because of deductive reasoning, I just don't know. All right.
So it's getting harder. Victoria,
Yeah.
SA, or Queensland?
Oh man, I don't think it's, we've gone through, there's only,
It's a silly question, really. Forget about it, because the state doesn't matter, because this wine, I don't know about Queensland, but there are so many wines that could be, well, you could pick a vineyard, but you couldn't pick a state because they're so variable anyway.
so well, I mean,
There'll be a lot
and
of
it
overlap.
kind of gets you straight to where you are
Yeah.
anyway. All right, did you want to do 3 sub-regions?
Sub-regions.
Yeah.
Do you want
Okay.
Because if we aren't going to do state,
I don't know what that sub-region's called.
yeah, sub-regions like Yarra Valley, Hunter, or Barossa.
No, yeah, I just...
Oh, you don't know? I said this one actually doesn't have a sub-region.
No, it does. I just, I know the town it's coming from.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, Laura, you do it then. You do it.
All right.
Is it?
Anywhere in Australia.
Yeah. No, it's cool. So Clara,
Yeah.
Mornington Peninsula,
Yeah.
or Heath.
Damn. Damn. If this is from McLaren Vale, I'm so impressed. I'm so impressed. Because that has no tannin. It is so delicious. Like, that is gluggable. That you can drink the shit out of this wine. But I think it's Mornington.
It's good.
Really? How do they not make it reductive? Everything's reductive out of Heathcote. This is beautiful.
Well, the winemaker's a talented guy.
Total, yeah. I mean, that's for sure.
Apparently.
Yeah, that's for sure. That's really interesting. The only thing I've had out of Heathcote that's like this would be like Jasper Hill. Yeah, something like that. This is new to me. This is fantastic. Okay. Heathcote. Freaking Heathcote. All right, varieties. Give us 3 varieties. Is it a single variety?
Yep.
This one? Okay.
Yep. Barbera, Nero d'Avola, or Shiraz.
Damn. I think it's Nero or Barbera. I don't think it's Syrah because Syrah from Heathcote.
Yeah,
Every single Syrah.
you can pick that.
Yeah, you can pick a Syrah, you can pick the body, the weight, but the really cool thing about like the Nero Barbera thing in that sort of sequence is that both are stupidly high acidity. It's just this could easily be both. Nero.
Yeah.
Oh. This
You're
is
winning.
such a hard one.
You're
This is
winning.
such a hard one.
I reckon basically that we're down to the bottom.
Nero,
Of it.
also Nero from Heathcote. Is it? Maybe a bit of age, 2016. Just take a random stab. No, warm vintage. So it's going to be 2015. 19.
Baby.
It's a baby. 2019.
Yeah.
What is this? Oh, cool! I didn't know they were doing Nero. That is so awesome. Minim.
Yep.
Minim wines.
Yeah. So
That is baller.
Tim Sproul from Boomtown Winemakers shared whichever the exact name is. Yeah, really.
That-
Speaking
fine.
speaking of nice people, he's the nicest guy.
Now, if you're saying that, that is definitely next level. So it was Chalmers Fruit, established by 09. That is so cool. It's really good to be able to see like because to date, in terms of even like other winemakers playing around with Nero in a really, really sort of minimal intervention way, and these guys are certainly in that category.
Absolutely.
It's good to see people playing around with Nero because for me, you get Nero into the winery. If the trick is actually getting Nero into the winery, that's the trick. Because growing it, you don't need water, that's for sure. And in Heathcote, they actually don't. I think there's even some legal standing, like they're not even allowed to irrigate. There's like
Really?
some like hardcore shit when it comes to getting
Wow.
water into Heathcote.
So that would be right up your alley.
Oh yeah, totally. But the really cool thing is obviously it's a Nero grows that. It's open sprawl. It rolls its canopy. You can't machine harvest it. You got to hand harvest it. They are massive canes. They are massive basil leaves, and it's just a royal pain in the butt to harvest. But once you get it in the winery though, pHs are just perfect. Lower alcohol. It's a brilliant. Almost got me on the Barbera comment. Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Wouldn't guess that.
Never. No, and in particular, have you ever played around with Nero before?
Never.
It's the greenest thing ever. The whole rachis, the whole sort of stems.
Why do they call it Nero then?
I don't know. That's a really good note. Honestly, it's like neon green.
Nero is black in Italian.
Black, yeah.
For reference.
That is super fun. All right, well, we're not going to let you leave here without playing the game in for real for yourself. These wines on the back wall, I don't know what they are. You don't know what they are. You're welcome to choose any one of them, and we'll crack into it. It could even be one of your wines. I don't know.
Of course, it's good. I bet 3/4 of them are mine.
It could be. I don't know. Do you sell all your wines direct? Yeah.
Yeah. It's the best way to embarrass a winemaker.
Would never do it.
Let them taste the wine.
But I'm just saying, I don't.
And make them, call it something else, which has been done to me a few times.
Oh really?
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
I wouldn't do that.
And I failed it each time.
While you're choosing a wine, I'll tell you a funny story. When I was at winemaking school, and of course I've got a gin company, right? And we're tasting through all the spirits because we did like a course on spirits. Thank you, Laura. We did a course on spirits, and it was gin day. And I thought myself sort of king shit about knowing all the stuff about gin, and we had all the main producers of gin, like 5 or 6 different things put in front of us, and sort of how it works in a classroom. We pass bottles along, yep, cool, pour yours out. By this time it was really quite late in the tasting, and I really had to run to the bathroom and said to my mate next door, who was none other than James Browanowski from Small Island Wines. I just said to him, hey, would you mind just pouring mine for me? As you do. And anyway, come back in, try the gins, and I'm waxing lyrical about the differences between this one and that one and this one, and that everyone's in fits of laughter, and I'm wondering what the fuck's going on. And he sort of nudges me, he goes, mate, they're all Bombay Sapphire. They are.
Oh!
They're all the exact same gin.
That hurts me.
Oh,
Hurts me to hear that.
There was the dignity, there was the loss of face, there was all the things. All the things. All right.
Terrible.
And yeah, I mean, since then, I hope I've gotten better at tasting. I've proven it on some nights and not proven it on others. So a couple of guys, hey Terry, great to see you, mate. Alex is a super interesting fella. This is from Aiden. This is one of my favorites. Thank you so much. Aiden's been with us since the start as well. He's seen pretty much all of them, so that's a big,
Thank you.
Totally. Hi guys, drinking John O'Hersey's Light Bright Summer Red. Enjoy that. I'm drinking Vinaya Marsan. Vinaya Marsan's actually a, have you tried much of their wines before? Fly under the radar. They really do fly under the radar. Really, really amazing wines out at Heathcote. Heathcote as well.
Right.
Yep. Kasuda wines. When you were talking to me about cutting the botrytis out of the 2011 grapes, and it reminded me of Kasuda. Kasuda is this Japanese producer who cuts literally every single tiny imperfection. He gets all these Japanese people. He's based in New Zealand, and he makes the most amazing Pinot Noir. It's pretty hardcore. Anyway, I'm gonna put the comments down, and we're playing together on this one.
All right.
Ooh, hello.
The cork.
No, it's not corked, but it could be a little bit pre-moxy. It's a little bit. I thought it was quite, showing a bit of age, and it might be a bit early for it. A bit of quick age, but it may be heat affected. But it still feels like it's in that El Barino space. That sort of like textural, savoury white space. Not to lead you on too much.
To me, it's hard to tell what it is because there is not a lot of aromatics there, and the aromatic side would be the thing you would pick the variety by.
Oh, that is textural. That's glorious. It's so silken. I like that. I like drinking wines like that. Reminds me of Viognier, actually. Now, you do a lot of Viognier, and in fact, someone asked me the other day, who does the best Viognier in the Adelaide Hills, or who does the best Viognier in Australia? And I admittedly didn't think of you, and I should have. And I couldn't think of anyone. I couldn't think of anyone. Viognier for me is one of the most boring things that Australia has put out. One-hit wonder things. I think it has clear potential, but you're probably the only one that's gone, hey, I'm gonna have a play with this. Why Viognier?
The first Viognier I tried was still back in Israel, and I just walked in the bottle shop and someone said, why don't you try this Viognier? And I was like, what's Viognier? And they're like, oh, it's a variety. And I was like, cool, I like trying new things. Looking back now, well, it was very oaky. It tasted like Chardonnay but a very floral one. But back then, I was like,
It was probably- yeah,
awesome,
yeah.
great
Yeah.
wine. So I enjoyed it. That was the first thing. Then when I was studying in Adelaide Uni, I was given some Viognier juice as a project as a student, and we made some white wine out of it, and it was reasonably drinkable. I really liked the aromatics then. I still like aromatics, but then more and more I realized that a lot of the Viognier has the aromatics but nothing else, or not much else. And I thought, basically we took it as a personal challenge to make Viognier great again. And I can't believe I said it.
That is too good.
It made perfect sense to leave it on skins and to make a, what do you call it? Off-white? Amber?
Off-white wine?
Orange wine. And first year, because there is still a bit of a scientist in me, we made a white and an orange. And the white was exactly what we expected it to be. Pretty and a bit boring. And the orange was so much fun. So we blended the white into the orange, which made everything orange. And we never looked into a white Viognier again until 2020, when there was a lot of smoke taint. So we had to get rid of the skins early on.
Yeah.
And we ended up with a bit of white Viognier, which I must admit is not as bad as I remembered it.
I think it's got potential. I think it is sort of a little bit like sort of you draw the line of comparison between Viognier and Chardonnay. One of the things that makes Chardonnay stand out to me is that it is one of those amazing blank canvas grapes that you can impart so much onto, and it's actually quite forgiving. You can kind of do a lot to it, and it still looks all right.
100%.
Yeah, and Viognier kind of has that thing. I think a lot of people have just approached it like the Pinot Gris, Gio, Sauvignon Blanc mentality, which is like, cool ferments, hands off, don't touch it, it'll do its thing. You're like,
but that's how most of the white wine in Australia is made like that.
Yeah, I know.
Regardless
boring,
of variety.
Boring. It's boring. Yeah, that's a really great way to make boring Fiano. We found out.
Someone asked the question about Gewürz, saying
a lot of Gewürzes are pretty bad. In Australia.
Well, you can replace Gewürz with any other variety or any other wine style. There is plenty of bad wine of any kind. Gewürz, Cab Sav, Shiraz, Tempranillo, natural wine.
Non-natural wine, orange, red, whatever.
The least natural wine. There are bad wines in every sector. This is not what the world is about.
Yeah.
The world is about finding the good ones.
Finding the good ones, irrespective of the sector. And probably one of the best little sound bites I reckon we could get. Honestly, that's amazing. But first and foremost, we need to try to figure out what this is. All right, red or white? I'm going white.
Yeah, I'm going white.
Yes.
Good.
You are the old world.
I'm going old world.
I saw the top of the bottle, so I know it's old world.
Oh, yeah, true.
Bad packaging.
It's so flinty.
It's heaps flinty. Yeah.
Do you know the producer?
No, I only saw it. I saw the appellation.
Oh, really?
Not the appellation, the thing on the top. I couldn't.
Okay.
It was exposed, so I saw it.
He's an honest guy too. He's honest.
I could really leverage it a lot.
Yeah, I don't want to know because it could be
keep my eyes on it for another 2 seconds, and I could be playing a really cool game here.
Yeah, because now I genuinely don't know what it is. So this would be really cool to see whether or not I'm giving myself a bit of yeah.
So old world.
I think it's old world, so it is old world. I'm glad. Okay.
Should we level the field?
No. Don't level the field. Don't level the field. I don't want to level field. No. I want to challenge myself.
Right.
Well, there'll still be plenty of challenges left after we level the field.
No. Country. So what?
Is it France, Italy, or Greece?
Jesus. France, Italy, or Greece? It's not what I thought it was. I thought it was Hungary. That's what I thought it was. Which is, I'm just going to go straight to Italy then. if that's the
Hungary
case.
would make sense
Hungary will make
with
so
this
much
wine.
sense.
Yeah, but it's not Hungary. Obviously.
I've had a wine that tastes like this and feels like this from Hungary. I can't tell you. It's got really cool, funky labeling. The Hungarian producer that has like the crazy cursive
Werther.
shit. Yeah,
Peter Werther.
that guy.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what it tastes like. I'm going Italy because of that. I don't have a ballpark for Greece, unless it's some crazy fucked up Retsina. That would be hilarious. But no, I mean, look, it could be a Assyrtiko, very aged and very forward Assyrtiko, but no, I'm going Italy. What do you reckon?
No, I know it's France.
Oh, damn it.
But now the field,
Damn it,
now the field is level. I know nothing on top of that.
Okay.
So we're in the game again.
We're in the game.
playing.
Okay. Okay, cool. All right.
Okay. Hold on.
Well, Laura's intent, like, this is the thing, like, you could easily just pick 3 regions inside France, but Laura doesn't do that. She actually tries to pick, like, she thinks about
Something
the
that
ones.
would make sense. That would be harder.
Yeah, she makes it intentionally harder.
Is it from Jura?
Mm.
What's that one? Is it from Alsace?
Mm.
Or from Savoy?
Wow. I'm having my Hungary moment. I thought it was Burgundy.
It would look a very Ford Burgundy. Very Ford Burgundy. I don't think it's Jura. I just don't think it's Jura. Alsace. I'm gonna go, I don't know a lot about Savoy. So that's where I'm gonna go. Because I think Alsace would just not deliver this type of savory texture. They tend to be lifted. And if it is a typical example, Jura would showcase, I would have thought, a bit more rancio, a little bit more.
Well,
like,
you know, there's so many wines in the Jura that are topped up, really. But
there's like a reduction.
I reckon this is like so much Savoy.
Savoy?
Correct.
Oh, cool. Yeah, makes sense now.
No, perfect.
Okay.
Right, variety.
Okay, cool. Because I was like, this is a weird Hungarian Albarino. That's what I thought it was. That's why I'm like so far off base. All right.
Is it Chasselas, Chardonnay, or Sauvignon?
It's not fucking Chasselas. I mean, that would only be in. Surely that would only be in Switzerland. I haven't seen Chasselas outside of Switzerland
No,
before.
Chasselas, you find it in Savoy.
Really?
I'm pretty sure.
Really? Damn, I don't think it's Chardonnay. I can't see that as being Chardonnay. I just haven't seen reduction. The other one was Sauvignon. That's what I think it is. I think it's Sauvignon. I've seen some aged Sauvignon look a lot like this. I'll give that a crack. Give it a stab. Is it 100% one variety?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
I reckon it's Chardonnay.
You're sticking to the Burgundian vibes. Okay. You watch. It's gonna be.
Yeah,
Chasselas.
probably. That's the back of my mind thinking, but you get it.
Yeah. Because like, there's something obviously that's telling you that for sure.
It's Sauvignon.
Oh.
Yeah.
Got it in the end. All right, what's okay? Vintage, because this is a hard one because I reckon it could be a little bit forward. I'm gonna go with. I want to say it's as old as like 15 or 16 because it just feels like it's probably like 17. Is probably where I'm at.
Well, for me it's just a punt because, yeah, as you said, it could be Primox, it could be many things, and I'm not familiar enough with, like, you know, the particulars of every vintage in Savoy, especially when it comes to Sauvignon. But I would say 18.
It's
15. Oh.
Yeah, it's 15. Maybe it's just a bit
And
old.
look, I actually don't know if it's technically Savoy. It's a Bunter wine, but that was like the closest region I could find. But the winemaker.
They make a really. Why do they even say IGP? Because that's really confusing for everyone from Italy.
IGP.
Isn't IGP Vende à la Broche? I have no idea. 100% Sauvignon.
His
Yeah,
family
wicked.
is originally from Burgundy, and he does also make a Chardonnay.
Well, that's the Burgundy vibe I got
Yeah,
there.
I know.
So I mean, that's pretty cool that he's picking that up.
He does actually
That's so
make
cool.
Chasselas. It's right on the Swiss border.
That is very cool. That is very cool. I still think it's maybe a little bit forward or a little bit, but 1,655 bottles. 1,655 bottles, barely. Do you reckon there's something they're saying something between the sun and the moon? Do you reckon this could be like a little biodynamic number?
I'm still trying to think how they counted the exact number of bottles. I never know how many bottles we have.
It's like counting sheep, you know, as it passes through the bottling line. Surely that's how it happens.
You know that guy. you know that guy who actually was at the gate when the sheep were passing, and he counted them, and he kept falling asleep.
Anyway, on that note, guys, thank you so much for chiming in. We will be back, Laura and I, tomorrow night doing Q&A. Of course, as we always do on a Sunday. But guys, enjoy the rest of your weekend. Hopefully you've got some pubs, wine bars, whatever open near you. They do need your support, so get out there and support them. Alex, mate, thank you so much for joining us tonight. And
thanks
thank
so
you very much
for
for
it was a great fun.
bringing amazing Nero and telling us obviously about your story and where you're going. And when, because we do have your website linked in the description above, so when you're saying you're kind of running out of wine at the moment.
Yeah.
You've got some?
Well, it's a guessing game at this stage.
But when's the next set of releases starting to filter out? Do you have any
next
idea?
one will be in the spring.
In the spring?
Yeah, we still have some wine for sure, but
Yeah.
not from every wine that we released 2 weeks ago. It's some of them would still be around.
You can get them for a limited time. If he's saying that, there's probably not going to be that much left, I'm going to guess. So jump on them before so you can get through winter, and then on springtime see some of his young, bright things as well. Anyway, guys, thank you so much.